Hello, everybody. Welcome to the hackathon session. This is for the Viewpoint Teradata REST API and Ecosystem Manager. And my name is Paul Roy Thomas, one of the architects on those groups. So sorry about the technical issues on the WebEx, but this is recorded as well. So I will just start it, It is more, I want to make it like a more interactive, like just go on how the product has been, used, what are all the platform we are supporting, different environment and things like that. So please stop anytime you want, we can discuss. All right. So the hackathon, I don't know, most of you, if you guys know, we are building the entire infrastructure in AWS, but all these products are available in bare metal and as well as in the consolidated. So if you don't know the consolidated environment, it's, like a single box, KVM, we put multiple products in it. So far we are supporting, bare metal as any of other things and consolidated TMS appliance where we have individual VMs for each of these products. And then currently we did it, earlier this year in AWS. Okay, so there's various type of EMI, but again, it's very specific to AWS, but I will cover the general ones as well. All right, so these are all with different types, but again, I will go ahead and talk about a little bit about the product as well. So Teradata Viewpoint basically enable the management and monitoring of Teradata systems. So when I say Teradata system, this includes all three of like a Teradata, SMP, MPP, Astra, and Hadoop, and also we have the capability of hosting the external portlets. For example, Data Mover, Ecosystem Manager, Unity, Server Management, DSA Bar. But for those external portlets, you need to have a corresponding application there. It could be a different server, it could be a EMI you need it, or it could be a CTMS, right? So you just need to have a connectivity to that particular appliance or the product you are looking at. So Viewpoint provides that UI framework, deploy that one. So currently Viewpoint we kind of give in three flavors. So the multiple Teradata system, I should not say Teradata system, it should be a multiple, Teradata means, it covers all three of it. So the first one, it's kind of fully licensed, you can monitor and manage any number of, systems, like multiple Teradata systems, multiple Hadoop system, multiple, Astra systems, right? So the second one, it's a kind of a flavor. So they have like one single system. You can have any one of them, right? For example, it's for a small customer, you're just having only one Teradata system for right now. Just go with the lighter version of it. So we have another flavor. Basically, that's the Teradata Data Lab. So basically, it's kind of a data labs application included where they try to, collect the, data labs and with a single system. And this also has the Data Mover. All of them has the capability of, Data Mover, Server Management, and DSA. Since we did the prepackaged EMI, apart from the bare metal, we pre-installed these packages. So they don't need to go in and log into the system and do the installation of the RPM for whenever the, a particular product got associated, right? So let's talk about Teradata REST services. So basically, REST service is a REST API to the Teradata system, or Teradata database. So we provide a REST API to that. So we have a admin console, and most usable case is the API. So you don't need to have a appliance for it, but we provide a AMI right now In bare metal, there is no need for the appliance. You just have a couple of packages. There's only 2 packages you need to install. It is coming in only Linux right now. So, like JDK 7 and a TDRest package, you can just install it on your Ubuntu or, like your Linux server and just use it in your desktop. So the main advantage I can see as any of the REST API, you don't need to install any of the client utility, right? So if you try to access the Teradata system or run a query or insert something programmatically, right? So just make a REST call, like credential and everything. So from the administration capability, you should be able to say, this is my system, this is my username, like you can run it. And also we expose the UI for it, right? So basically, REST API, you can configure the system, you can define your queries, you can use that way also, right? It's a combination of both things. So, and Ecosystem Manager, so I think I have some duplicates here. So I put the rest 2 times. Ecosystem Manager is actually a comprehensive data and application management across the UDA. So I will talk about that one in detail when I show the demo. So that's what it is. Basically, like Ecosystem Manager has the discovery engine. So once you installed and configured, we have the client for all the platform. So other than like our own managed appliance, you can, if you want to like monitor and manage external server, for example a customer owned server, like maybe a MicroStrategy in the data center. So you can install our agent, Ecosystem Manager agent. So that's a kind of a thin client. It will start sending you the message about, by default, it start collecting the system metrics like memory, CPU. That's just a baseline. And then it has, like integration with all the TT utilities, fast load, TPT, all of them. So once you have the client installed on the server, so if you run like a BT jobs or TPT jobs, then we started, like collect the information about the jobs, right? So we identify the jobs. So the jobs can be like 100 rows in a table in a database. So what we do, okay, so we have this API to send the information from the client to, like our server. We have a message bus. We use ActiveMQ. So we collect the information and process them, right? So we have this constant, like monitoring coming in, and also ad hoc ones when you run a BT or TPT, we collect the information, and what we do, if that information is already not registered in our metadata, so for example, I see a new Teradata system, we do the self-registration, we just automatically add it into the metadata, so no need to our CS or PS to go ahead and add the data themselves, right? We collect the information as we could, right? So it's applicable for a daemon, so they can monitor a daemon. For example, they run a MicroStrategy server, and if they configure it, which we can do it from UI, so they can get the memory and CPU of that particular process, right? So, and also more on the top, this is a kind of a core capability of Ecosystem Manager, but on the top, we have, like more on the data synchronization, and we have a very good integration with the data mover and also Unity. So we expose a lot of, like application management for the Unity and as well as the data mover. But it will be a little more clear when I go for the demo. So, but please stop by, like and ask more questions. All right. So let's see. This is, more on, like talking about how to deploy AMIs. I think if you guys come to the hackathon, right? So this will be already, Vina's team will be deploy this one and make the systems ready for you guys. So, like they will create a separate set of group of users. But it's good to go through this one. I can, send the details to you guys. You guys can, if you have a public cloud, you can just go ahead and, like launch instant and start playing with it. So we have more of, like so much automation in place, like very limited right now, some of them, but we are getting more, like a requirement to more cloud-friendly requirements. We are keep on adding them. And Veena will talk about that one later. So So these are all, like the ports and what are the types, but I'm not going to go in very detail, but we have a deploy guide. If you guys want to play with it, it's available. I can send it to you guys. Just a PowerPoint version of it. So Viewpoint and Rest should come up right away. If you just launch it, it will come up. Ecosystem Manager, it has some, configuration you need to do because we still, working on some robust, like API to do that. So we are not there yet. So you have to do one-time configuration and see which viewpoint it's talking to, right? So there is a couple of manual steps associated with Ecosystem Manager when you launch it through AWS. So those informations are documented right here. Oops. Okay. I lost my. Okay. I didn't lost everything. Looks like some network issues going on. Okay, anyway, so let me go ahead and start the, like a demo. So okay, let me open a new one.
All right, when you said that certain ports have to be open, do those ports get opened by the automatically by the provisioning?
Yes. So what we do, when you go to I can actually show that one a little bit. We had some issues today morning in AWS, but so let me show you one example. As you can tell, you can do two kind of launching here. There's a one click for any EMI.
Mm-hmm.
So let me use this one. So the first time when you do it, you won't see this page. If you go to the marketplace, you say, like you search on Viewpoint, it will be available and click on it, and you need to start launching that one. The reason is that I already subscribed once, so I can just click on the button again to create more instances. So right now what I'm going to do, launch more, since, like you already asked me the question. So they provide this wizard. So they give you, like where you want to, launch it, what is the region and the pricing, all the details, right? And then, sorry, this screen is really. Then you can say continue. If you want to change it, for all of them we have a default value. It's up to you where you want to keep it, right? But again, you need to make sure you keep it in a one region in order to make the connectivity in place. Otherwise, you need to start using the public ones, public IP address. But let's go ahead and use the default one, which is US East. So now, if you see here in the list, see we make the suggestion. So this is the instance type, right? So if you guys don't know the AWS, they expose certain number of machine type, right? Okay. For this one, M4 is this many number of CPU, this many number of like drive and this kind of the network, all those things. So we pick and choose based on our research. We did this one. This is the only thing we expose. So for example, data mover could expose more of this instance type. So you can pick and choose, okay, for if you are using a high load situation, maybe you want to go for a bigger one, right? So for this case, we just fixed one. So then, then if we go a little bit down, the version is 1, and security group, like if you have a previously defined your own security group, it will be available there, but by default we create one for you, right? So that's where, like your ports, Yodi, showing up. But again, like if you want to override this, obviously some of the port you take it out, our application won't work, but if they know and they want to change it, right, for some reason, all of these ports are configurable, right? But you need to change the port in our application. So for the advanced user, they can, once they launch it, or maybe they can choose to do an advanced way of launching it, which will go through the wizard way, right? So
if you accidentally pick the wrong security group, can you fix it without throwing the instance away?
yes, and also, with respect to security group, I think it supports the dynamic changing. You don't need to even bring it down. So, so certain parameter in AWS they expose, you can dynamically change it.
Okay.
But some of them you need to shut it down and change it. But I think if you want to add more drives, I think you should really create another one, kind of thing. So there is certain things, I don't have all the listed on top of my head, but that's how it works. Okay. So, is that answer your question, Yodi? So let me switch back to, like a viewpoint.
Well, that's great.
Okay. So I'm going to type in, like all the, by the way, all the application I am, like accessing is launched in AWS. So I'm going to log into the viewpoint. Okay. It's 22, I believe. 209, okay. Let me just remove this one, let's talk about the plain one first. So right now, I just installed some of them, like I didn't configure much, like I have a couple of templates. So it's kind of brand new viewpoint. Instead, I launched in the morning. I was about to do a complete, like a cleanup demo, but AWS US reason having some problem. I don't know. Veena, what's going on? Anyway, so this is the first time I'm seeing the problems, but anyway, so I just using the pre-created instance right now. So like this is kind of a dashboard, right? I don't know whether if you guys already use the viewpoint, then like you can just ignore my thing. So they give you a complete dashboard, right? So this is my first dashboard. I will say, okay, this is my page. It will allow you to add more portlets based on your needs. So I am a business user. I want, I do care about only this, high-level operational details. Or maybe I am a DBA. I will care about only the Teradata system. Things like that. So you can organize your portlets as it is. So I'm just giving some, like ideas, right? So I'm saying, okay, my first page, I want to make sure all my systems are okay, kind of thing. So I'm saying, all the Teradata system and also I'm naming it like that. So I'm creating my own dashboard in a way. So, okay, then I will start adding the portlets here, right? So, okay, so what are all the things I'm interested in? Maybe I will be interested in system health. So the one is nothing but, like how many instances of that portlet you want it on that page, right? So if you say one, it will create two, but I don't want it, so I just do one. So maybe a log user, right? Maybe a query monitor. I will be interested on all those things. So just click on add. Okay, so that means nothing is there yet. Okay, so let's go ahead and add our systems for right now, right? So we have this configuration portlets because Viewpoint doesn't know anything about systems yet. It's a brand new system, so I'm going to like add the monitored systems, right? Okay, so as you can see, nothing is there. So you can add any type of systems. So I'm adding a Teradata system. So one thing you noted down, like especially if you are doing in a public. So right now the Teradata instance what I launched also in the same VPC in the AWS. So I'm going to use the private one because they can talk it in the private IP address. So that will be again they have a concept of elastic IP address, it's kind of a static ones, but you need to pay more for it. So underlying that one is kind of a virtual kind of thing, DNS thing. So you can associate a particular IP with that or a system with that. 65. Okay. System I will say TD1, TD01 or something. So TDP ID I will just give the actual one, 172.31.15.65 site tech TD01. I'm just using DBC for right now. So you see the checkbox, right? So let's go ahead and select the time zone. It's kind of technically in the Eastern time, so anyway, I will just put the Pacific right now because it's launched in the Eastern, but that's okay. So these are all the collectors, right? You can just select all this, these are all metrics will be collected from the Teradata system eventually. But in a single click, it's kind of a very high-level wizard. You just enable everything from right here. So I'm just going to enable all the collectors. I don't have the TASM integration right now, so I'm not clicking on this one. So once I started this one, it will start collecting those information right there. You need to see certain type of grant, but I'm not going to go through this one because I'm just doing the high level one. So I added the system. So let's go back and close this one. So let me just add it back again. So it's not coming yet. Should get it and pick it up immediately, but let's see. Oh, here you go. Just wondering. Okay. This one. So if you see this one, it's kind of I kind of like this one because at any point of time, all your systems will be, displayed in your left navigation. If you click on it, you will get more details into that. So if you see the system health, it will show collecting all the information, and then you can go back to the configuration and change your metrics. Okay, I don't want this particular threshold. I want the alert to be generated if my worker process is exceeding, and all kind of information. So it's kind of a complete management system management tools along with query monitoring, and also the TASM and everything. So okay, so now you can minimize, and if you want to add more details, you can do that, right? So So if you want to add more, which you don't like, some of the other things, you can just add it here. But in my opinion, like you can use most of them, and if you don't, happy with that one, you can add more portlets here right now. So that's, and if you guys see the sections, right, like it's kind of clearly kind of defined, categorized, system view, session management, node. Basically node is Aster or Hadoop, and workload management is completely TASM, and see applications, right? These are all the pretty much the external applications, are right here, right? So, and these are all the utilities, SQL Scratchpad. You can, once you have, all of them are kind of connected. So once you define the Teradata systems, you can go ahead and, if you want to run a query, you can use a SQL Scratchpad, and, my queries based on, your needs. So now, while we are at it, I'm going to go ahead and, talk about little bit about the Ecosystem Manager, because as I said before, most of our TMS application has portlets deployed in the workflow. So this is bar is nothing but a DSA and data mover. Even though I don't have a data mover connected, we preloaded it. So if the customer just bought the Teradata system and Viewpoint first, or maybe launched from AWS, they just want to play with it. Then later on, they decided to go with the data mover. All they need to do is launch a data mover instance, and they don't need to go back into the instance and install the data mover portlets. Typically, right now on the bare metal, we are doing like this. So in AWS, we are trying to make it, little more, right, easier. So right now what I did, I installed the Ecosystem Manager, pre-installed there. It's pre-installed, but I configured as well. So for the better management, I'm going to create another page called Data Management. And I'm going to add this portlet. So Ecosystem Manager exposes a couple of portlets, Explorer and Report Viewer and Workflow. So we'll talk about that one a little bit also. We are on time, so I just want to make sure I'm on time. Okay. All right. So okay. Let's do the Ecosystem Explorer right now. It's better to remove other ones, then we can add it back, otherwise it's kind of a little confusing. Okay, let me remove this one. So okay. So right now I didn't add anything actually. What I did is, I just did a configuration. Let's go to the server tab. It's basically, it's your operational dashboard. You have, your servers. As long as you are instrumented with the Ecosystem Manager, just install the client on your server. We will start collecting the information and self-register all the entities for you. So right now, I have the portlets and the agents installed on the Viewpoint server, and this is the EM, which is my own server. So to give you the idea of what we are collecting, so these are all some of the metrics we are collecting by default, right? And this is because of one of the threshold has been violated. When we register this metric, we also have a default thresholds, suggested threshold rules also self-registered, like CPU, greater than 95, then, it will generate the alert. But if you want to take more action into that, so okay, it's alert, but I want to be notified, then, you can go ahead and, create your own email or group of email, right? So how we do that, those are all little advanced instrumentations. So let me go to the ecosystem manager configuration. So if you go to the setup, all the admin portlets are located in there. It's, so to give you an idea. So I'm going to the server, okay, what I want to do. So I just want to pick one particular threshold and, so these are all the, different kind of, a threshold we create, threshold roles we create. So for example, the CP of the system is, a greater than 95, we generate the alert, but I said, okay, I want to, apart from generating the alert, I want to send a notification of the email, right? So you can just have an email group. This is the email, default email. You can just add it. So whenever that condition is exceeded, the email will be sent it out. Email is one kind of action, but we expose a lot of actions like that. You can execute a script on a remote server wherever the ecosystem manager is installed, or maybe you can start a workflow which is defined in ecosystem manager. So it exposes more advanced functionality on the top. So we listen to the environment, right? Assuming that we completely managed by ecosystem manager, and we listen to the metric on a certain interval on demand or a collection based. So then on the top of it, we can take action. That's a basic level, right? On the top, you can do one other thing we expose is tables, table validation. Suppose you have a ETL load into one system, for example, and you are doing in a one Teradata system, and you are doing a batch job later in the evening to the other system, Teradata 2, then okay, I want to make sure this, I know it's successfully run, but what is the guarantee, the data is in sync, if they are same. So we have expose the capability of table validation, right? So row count check, or maybe a checksum checks, or maybe row count percentage on a table or set of table, or a application, right? Things like that. So those are all, little more on the detail. So let me go through this one a little more in detail, then I will jump into workflow. Got a little more time. So these are all, basically a different entities, right? So application is the one. Let me talk about application a little bit, defined by a customer. So what does application mean, in ecosystem manager? So basically, application can be self-registered. As I said, we have an API. So if you are running ETL job, and if you know that ETL job is associated with a particular customer application like a sales load, you can self-instrument and saying that, okay, this particular ETL load is belonging to this application. When we got that information, we process and create the application if there is no application there. But we also allow you to create here if you want to, right? So I'm just going to create one right now. If you want to provide a default name, you can, but this is my browser is doing that. So if it is managed by Unity or not, this case it's none. So I defined here, a sales load. Again, this information can be automatically, sent through our API. You don't need to manually do it, but you can manage it if you want, right? So for example, I'm going to associate one of the server here. So maybe this application has a server, it depends. This application has a dependency on my Viewpoint server, for example. So I'm going to add that one. So I see the application right here. Like this condition also escalated back here, but the original problem, so as I said, the actual problem is in the server. Since I started associating, oh, this is my application, and my dependency for this applications is this server, this table, this systems. If you established, whenever something happened to the dependency, based on the aggregation, we, escalate the condition, whether the application availability condition, what is the recency of the application, whether the application is available, now or not, right? Things like that. So also we expose something like a dependency management. So for example, these are all like a dependency bucket. These are all, we call it as a main buckets, right? So these are all the entities, okay? Application, workflow, jobs are, individual jobs, BTIC jobs, I don't have nothing now. Tables and servers and daemons is nothing but processes, right? MicroStrategy up and running on a particular server. So these are dependency buckets, like application. I don't need to do it because I'm already in the application. So let's go to the application tab and try to, where is my service dependency? Okay, here. So for this particular application, what are all my dependency, right? You can have a tables, all of them. If the sales load, okay, let me add one more, maybe like a job. So if you have, jobs associated with this particular sales load, that will be only displayed right now. So if you have a multiple application, you can just click on it, and this dependency tab will be filtered automatically. So at any point of time, you will know, the complete management of this one. So, a complete, this particular application depends on what. And also we have like a perspective shift. So if you see some problem and you want to switch this one, if you click on this one, it will take you to the main bucket wherever you are. So it will switch the perspective for you from the dependency to the, to the main bucket. So it has all the operational kind of thing available. So, all right. So let me jump on to a little bit. This is kind of a high-level overview on the Explorer, the discovery process and everything. Let me go ahead and add the workflow, which we introduced like a couple of releases before.
What's it mean, rewind on?
Oh, good question. I should have covered that one. So the rewind on, before I go to this one, the Viewpoint has this, the idea of, as of now, right? If you do rewind, okay, let me go ahead and do this one. Let me remove this one. I'll just show you right now. We don't have much time. At certain point of time, so I want to take something, okay, for example, your system is having some problem today, one of the job is failing today, right? And you want to say, okay, this job is failing yesterday, so you just rewind, and take a look at it, what's the status. So we will display that information. So most of the portlets, I believe, it depends upon application. For EcosystemManager, we support that. Based on whatever, the high-level page, a time, as of this time, will show you the status of this entire, a operational view, right? Whatever it is on, it is applicable. But remember, some of the portlets might not support. It might not be applicable. Like a designer might not be applicable, but operational dashboard might be applicable. You can take a look at it. And some of the things won't be available. Like for example, you cannot go ahead and run a table validation on a history window, right? But you can obviously take a look at it. Oh, these are my alerts, what happened, why it is failed, why it was running, right? Those kind of things. And also it will give you an idea of, like a capacity management, So historically the server is loaded heavily, right? You can do those things. Yeah, yeah. Coming back to the workflow designer, so it's basically, like a workflow itself, We always, EcosystemManager have the capability of, like alerts, actions, and a multiple actions. So there was a lot of, like interest in creating like our native based, workflow, not to compete with the, like there's a lot of workflow outside the world, but we have our own native capabilities of, like our functionality, exposing data mover and things like that. So for example, we have a concept of, task, we say, okay, what is the task type? I will say, okay, this is my script execution. So where you want to run it, you just define one of the server, like, but one thing is, if you define a host name, you need to have a agent install on it, right? So because that's how we manage this one. So okay, you can just say XYZ, then you save it, but we will, like, so right now it's kind of a temp, like you didn't finalize that, right? So then if I'm going to say, like this is a ETL server, okay, let me do this one. So okay, ETL load on TD1. Okay. Should speed up a little bit so that I can cover a little bit on the TDRest. Okay. Okay, now then I'm going to say, okay, I loaded on TD1, and then I'm introducing another one. Maybe once I loaded into TD1, it's nothing but a Teradata system. I'll say, okay, once I loaded on this one, I want to copy the data to my secondary Teradata system. For that one, I just need a data mover job, right? So we just communicate to data mover, right? This is where the integration comes in. Okay, this is a daemon. I don't have any, but if you configure a Teradata, like a data mover, so you can have a data mover and select a job and just go ahead and run it, copy the data from one system to other. Then, like you can have, our own functionality, which is, like a table validation, which I was talking to you guys. So you can go ahead and select, what is the table database you want to do and do the comparison, what kind of check you want to do, whether you want to do just a row count, which is a very simple one across the systems. And we do expose the table validation across multiple systems. When I say multiple system, not only Teradata, Aster and Hadoop, because we use the corresponding like Hive, HBase in the Aster, like Aster again, Postgres, they expose their own data model. So we can do, obviously, we need to be careful what kind of checksum you are doing, because it could differ, but row count could be the same, right? So once you do, I don't know what's going on, clicking something. Okay, once like you created this one, like you can save it, but when you save, we don't do a lot of check now, but because it could be extending, you didn't finalize that. But we have a concept of, like let me go ahead and save this. So we make sure I have a name for all of them. Okay. So once I saved it, like I can go ahead and schedule it, right? We expose here, like a small scheduler. And again, you don't need to use our scheduler. If you want to use a enterprise scheduler like Control M, feel free. But we expose the API for it. If you kind of send a start event to us, we'll kickstart that, right? And you can manually run this one also. So there is a concept of deploy. When you say deploy, we do a deep validation, right? Because you are Deploy means nothing but a change control kind of thing. I designed everything, all the values are correct, like all those things. We are going to really go and check it, okay? You said XYZ, is that server is there, or you have access to that, what was the username and password you gave, you really have access to that. If the data mover is there and all those things, we do all kind of validation before let you to deploy. It's kind of a gateway. If you get a change control concept and deploy it, once you deploy, those workflows will be available in the Explorer automatically. So that's the execution point of view, right? And then again, the same concept comes in. This workflow is dependent on these kind of servers, tables, and everything. We manage the dependency from there as well. So I know this is very short time to cover this big areas, but I'm just giving you the overall idea. So in Hackathon, if you want to do some kind of workflow, you can just use it, right? Because it's going to be all integrated with it. I don't think so. Unity will be there. I don't think so, right? Yeah. But data mover and all those things, you can use it. If you want a multi-set repeatable process, you can just use workflow for that, right? We will install the agents for you. So it's your call. So, all right. So let me cover I have a little time to cover the rest. I'm going to switch to the rest.
If you don't have something at 4 o'clock, I extended the room.
Okay. So as I said, REST, this 8080 is not a default one because right now, I think, since it's coming from AWS, by default it's 1080. I just changed it because we have a edge firewall, which will be open. Open? I didn't know that. It's open for Hackathon?
We got it open from our entire, anybody who's got an AWS account or on the network.
We are not going to change it again?
No, we got it open.
That's it? Wow. So, okay. So, I didn't know that. So, technically it will be 1080, but it's again, if you want to change it to the different port, it will be, but I would recommend to stick with it because it's already open. So, the reason I changed it because it was not open before, but I think they opened it. Thank you, Veena. So, so this is the administration view of it, and so the couple of things I think, I just want to make sure, right? We have an admin, and when you launch an instance from the AWS, they don't allow the default fixed password. So whenever you do that, the default password is not Teradata. If you guys use Viewpoint, it is Teradata. It has to be an instance ID of the AMI you are launching. So I think I saved it, I guess. Okay, so don't use the default one you are using for bare metal. Okay, so now once you logged in, you can go ahead and, start, looking at it. Same kind of idea, right? You can add a systems, Teradata system, and start using them. Then you can create your queries, you can run the sessions. So, but all of them, you don't need to come here and do that, right? Once you install the API, as long as you know the documentation, what are all the, URI we expose, we have a pretty good documentation. The documentation on the, top level, if you want to, you can look up all of them. It has all the information about what are all the methods and everything we are exposing. So if you want the ad hoc one, if you are writing a Python or somewhere, whatever the script it is, you want the ad hoc query and go in, I would recommend to use TDRest because it doesn't have, any utilities need to be installed. You just need to make a call, right? So.
How is the authentication done? Do you get an authentication token that you include in your
Yes.
URL?
Yes. So we are looking at, Veena was asking for some more script and everything. I am looking at giving some of the examples and whatnot. I think the guide has some, like information on that, but we will get more, because what they really want is, like when they set it up, they are going to set it up at different groups, for each team, like 5 or 6 each team, like Act 01, Act 00. So they want to dynamically create that one, which makes sense. So I'm going to give some work on my team and get those scripts for them.
So going to the hackathon expectation setting, right? You will not get SSH keys to the instance. You will not have DVC passwords. You just go here just a user on the system. Yes, granted permission. But on the databases, you have a username and a password. On the applications, you have a different username. So you never get any of this admins and DVC or any of those things.
Yeah.
So you're bringing your data, you're analyzing your data. You get a database, you get some applications, and that will be what you get.
So will we be able to access these services from both within AMI's running at Amazon and also from...
Amazon is open, and from here,
Is open.
1025 is open if you want to talk to Teradata. 2406 for us is open now.
Yes.
And
1080?
is open for
Okay.
REST.
All right.
80 and 81 is open to do your Hadoop stuff if you need to. 22 is of course open. 8443 is open. So I think we got all of those open. You can do your laptop, it should be able to work.
So we can have a hybrid situation if they need to, right? Like, but we don't recommend hybrid, did we, last time?
By hybrid.
Like, remember they were asking for the Teradata in-house Teradata, TCAM, Teradata kind of thing?
Stand something in the internal cloud, nobody's stopping them.
Yeah.
They want to stand up a data mover and move their data into the, they can.
Yeah, they can, right? So,
Right there.
Okay, so it looks like, you can have, because one of the thing, like, I seen this one because we organized last time, they preloaded some of the data. But I would recommend, like talk to Veena and see, you can load the data into S3, because it's a very good exercise, see how it is.
For Rogers, there doesn't seem to be anything in the Teradata universe to take it from S3 and put it into RT.
I thought the
Everything has
TPT...
to exist in T. It has to be a T to T, a T to A, or a D to H. Everything, there's got to be a T in between. So you got to figure out how to get it into the T, and there is no connector from S3 to T.
I thought they are dead. What about...
What?
I don't think there is a clean way to load it.
What about the TPT one?
Straight into Teradata.
I have a S3 to TPT connector that is
Yeah, you have
just
to
about ready.
get in between TPD connector
Yeah.
thingy that has to.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So there's
Anyway.
no way to just say, I'll just send it. It's not another source. There is no T2.
Yeah, I know. So we are still working on it, I guess. Okay. So, yeah.
I think some of the data will get loaded in a separate instance this weekend to be available then to pull in at the hackathon. I don't know if we'll get all of it, but we'll at least have some of it.
So at the hackathon, can we have access to the lab systems?
No.
Right.
You're sitting on our neck, but
Yeah, we can. We can.
The whole lab is open to you, and on top of it, you get all these instances in AWS. And I think Oliver's intent is you want people to demo their solutions, not on the lab system, but on the AWS system.
Yeah.
That we can pull from the lab systems if we want.
Definitely.
How much bandwidth is available between here and Amazon?
Cumulatively total, we have 250 megabytes from here to the internet. Everything internet.
Yeah, all right.
Right, and AWS is another point on it.
You mentioned data will be provided. Do you have any idea?
Some data, and you'll start seeing it on connections tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
They will put over the project, they start putting the project, if they put the data as well.
Yeah, some other people, but we have a couple of data sources that we're providing, and I know it'll be some from the DSI, from
Automatic.
Yeah, there were two other ones. I'm trying to get some GSS data. Actually, I have access to that. There may be some, I'm getting the memory dump versus the OS dump. The one that is not customer sensitive, that should be available too. So one of those is customer sensitive. We won't be able to provide that, but.
So do we have to abide by those data, or do we create our own data?
You may bring your own data, or you may use one of the data sources we provide.
Can we use our own clients?
I would assume.
What do you mean by use your own?
We have our own Linux clients in the lab. Can use those? Just to move data into AWS?
Yep.
Okay.
If for whatever reason you need an instance in AWS, because there were people who wanted to show, like people saying that we need to show Tableau. We don't want to bring the data from AWS into a Tableau running on my laptop, it'll take forever. Can I get a box set up for Tableau? We can do that, but we need to know in advance if there is anything like that.
Okay. Any questions, please?
Well, the expectation is everything he showed you, other than the last piece where he showed you how to do this, or how to go ahead and start a data mover job, everything else will hopefully be done for you.
Yeah.
So you just log in as HackerOne user into your Viewpoint, all the portlets will be there, it's already connected to the backend TDRest or whatever system, you just get it done, and then you're off.
Yeah, because the main work is, like a connectivity, like even that's what we are realizing all the hackathons, how we are trying to get more automation on that. And the Venus team did a great job so far, and trying to go to the individual team to get more APIs so that we can make it this one more easier, right? So, sure. We used Tableau last time, I guess, like some of the presentations. All right, so I will just drop it. Hopefully I will send
That it? I'll just, that a message just went out from Oliver talking about today's brown bag, but it also talks about the grand prize. Everybody may not have gotten it. We're having a little trouble with distribution lists, but basically there is a grand prize, and the note will talk about that. If you have trouble seeing that once you get back to your desk, let me know and I can forward it to you. And it will eventually come out to everybody, at least by tomorrow. Okay? Thank you, everybody.